Awesome. Well, why don't you get us started, man, with give us a little intro, a little of your background. And I know you're in New York, man, so Yankees, Mets,
Yeah, well, hey, you know
some of
what?
that'd be
If I had
cool.
to go one of the teams, I would go Yankees.
All right, all right.
My dad is 75, and when he was born, there was only one New York team, the
Got it.
Yankees. So he had no choice, and I've got no choice too then at that pace. But my name is Rory O'Reilly. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Knot. And Knot's mission is to help card issuers add their card to merchants so that they're top of wallet. So in other words, when a user signs up for your credit union or community bank, they can add their card to Amazon, Netflix, Verizon, all the places they want to spend in seconds so that you increase revenue and retention.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I'll tell you, man, for years I've been really interested, let's just say card utilization, right? So if you look at there's so many cool things out there, from breaking apart transactions for large purchases or rather than think about from a bank standpoint, rather than spending the money on a bill pay side and paying for ACH, if we could get a card on file, right? And I bet you tap into some of that. So talk me through some of that side and what you see. What are some trends and interesting things that are going on over there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in a previous life, I was the CEO of a card program, and our business model, at least for the card program, was interchange. So every time you swipe, obviously we were getting paid. So we would much rather someone be using the card, whether it's debit or credit, than have them do an ACH, because at least we're making something back from that and we're able to give value back to our customers. But in terms of trends, there's a couple of big ones. The first is that users these days, they want as least friction as possible. When you've got Apple Pay, when you've got kids who've never even seen a real physical plastic card before, you need to have an easy experience, and that's where Knott's coming in. If you look at the top fintech apps, every single one of them in the top seven is using Knot to add their cards and get revenue and retention. So that's one. Just the ease of use for using your card programs and using your bank institution. And the second is, I would say, consumer choice. There's more choices than ever now. So to really retain your users, you want to have the best experience and you want to make sure that they get the value prop from your institution as quickly as possible.
It's a great call out. I think too, interchange, I've watched it change just so much over my life, right? I mean, I remember barely, I was a youngster, but I remember when there was at least some debit interchange and rewards weren't just like fog,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a real play there, and I think there's certainly some for the bank side, although the rewards to the end user are largely gone. But as you get into things like business debit and some of those areas, there's certainly some, and then credit. Man, credit's awesome. Prepaid is awesome. A lot of interesting places. But what would you say is the focus? Do you do anything on the business side or is it retail focus?
Yeah, great question. So we have business customers, but our main focus is on the consumer. That's our sweet spot, but we do service the business segment. But whether you're debit or credit, there's one thing that always remains true, and that's you want to service your customers to the highest degree. You might get that debit customer to be a mortgage customer, right, in a different line of business if you kind of give them a great value proposition, or you might be able to upgrade them to a credit customer, or maybe they go home and they talk to their colleagues or spouse or whoever it might be and say, I had such a great onboarding experience at XYZ bank. I think maybe you should switch. So giving someone a great experience, whether debit, credit, business, consumer, et cetera, is I think always paramount for these financial institutions because that way they can have a customer for life, service them better, and hopefully bring in more customers too.
I'll tell you, I learned a lot from the early rewards days. I don't know. We used to have, I always call them hurdles, right?
Yep.
You have to have direct deposit and you have to do at least six debit transactions a month, right? And, two P2Ps or whatever the things were. And it's actually a really good way to measure. And I really, man, I always remember that if you can not only get them, using a card, but get to be top of wallet, the numbers on all products, everything just flows to your point. So I'm definitely with you there.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking about kind of like a one, two, three checklist. Like make sure you do A, make sure you do B. And we're conditioned to do that our whole life, right? Go to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, right? Every single thing is put in front of us. So if you're a card program, it should be no different, right? Get your card, activate it, put it somewhere, right? That's the next step. And that's what Not does exceptionally well. Just Face ID, boom, your card is where you need it to be.
Talk to me some about So what does it look like from sort of the merchant side of the world? Is that, the big guys, I'm thinking, oh shoot, I don't know. Is that like a Square, a Cash App, a PayPal of that world? Is it billers like an AT&T bill or so where are you trying to place and where are you at in that kind of roadmap? Because I'm sure it's massive, right?
Yeah, great question. So all of those, we work with the top 150 merchants. So from Amazon down to like a Best Buy, and you can just Face ID or log into that merchant, and we will add your card. You never have to leave your banking app. You never have to look for your card and type in your card number and name address. We do all that for you securely and within seconds. So for banking institutions, it means your card is top of wallet, right, within seconds. And for consumers, it means easy adding of cards. I want to switch to your institution because I love the rewards or I love the customer service. Let me use my card in seconds rather than cognitive load of switching between devices and ended up getting distracting and not changing it to the AT&Ts or the Amazons or the Verizons of the world.
I love it. All right. Really wild curveball question. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have any good not jokes? Like that's not
No,
funny or
I would say we've got a couple. We're doing a recruiting event today in the office, and all plastered around the office it says, "We are not hiring."
I
So it's
love it.
like we are not, hey, we're not hiring.
Okay.
So that's one. Another one is why not? Right? Like,
I
so hey, we're talking to a customer prospect, why not? Right? Like you
love
want
it.
revenue and retention. This costs less than printing the card to get someone to use it with our program. Why not?
That's
And the
awesome.
last one, which is my personal favorite, is not a problem. So I'll throw up the hashtag not a problem, right? Our customers will ask us for something. Can I see what a user bought at a merchant? Yes, we can do that for you. Not a problem. Could I rebuy something? Yes, we could do that with our agentic shopping products. Not a problem. So we try to look at it through the customer lens because we were that customer many years ago. So for us, it's the customer needs something. It's not a problem for us to build it for you.
That's so cool.
Thank
I
you.
was me and my wife this morning before I was telling her I was going to be on with you, and we were making not jokes as we're making eggs, and it was just so funny, man. I like you. I thought of so many clever marketing things. It's really cool.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned the agentic side, and I'm sure you have more expertise certainly than the rest of us there, but definitely a place I've been digging in, and I think to me it's like this convergence of maybe a wallet and an agent that's, I mean, you guys kind of look like a smart wallet, right? You want to talk through some of that and how we should be thinking about that? Because I got some eyes there big time in the last, handful of months.
Well, I think that if you can remove friction from people's lives, that they will do the action you want them to take. So, for example, if I'm on my banking app and I see a purchase, Amazon $15, banks don't actually know what that person bought. They don't know if I bought a not water bottle or if I bought a Rubik's Cube or if I bought, a Pepsi or Coke or whatever it might be. But with not, you're able to show exactly what the user bought, right? So Amazon water bottle, Amazon sunflower seeds, whatever that product is. And then the next step, you've added the payment details, you know what they've bought, rebuy it for them. So as it relates to financial institutions, I feel like this rebuy option is very easy for agentic. But even beyond agentic, just showing what your users bought helps them understand their payments and their ecosystem. And if you sprinkle a little bit of AI chatbot, they might be able to query and say, how much did I spend here? Was this healthy, the stuff that I bought? Did I fit with this within my budget? Could I have found this cheaper at other places? Right. So knowing what they bought and even potentially buying it for them gives you those whole host of options to service users better.
Love it. That's really cool. I actually, to your point of, sort of PFM style, I feel like we have got to be. I mean, I was from the days of, good friends with like the Gzio guys and back when it was Money Desktop before it was MX. And I watched kind of those PFM wars against Mint that went on. And today, I'll give you a silly example. I was doing taxes and I uploaded all the transactions into Claude, right? And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
just tell me what you think. And it's like, here's the top five things. And of course, it's like you spent too much money on food and drinks. I'm like, yeah, it's customers, come
Yeah.
on. But it's really cool to look at on sort of categorizing and inflows, outflows, and everything, and how quickly you get there. Because it's more about insights, to your point, than it is just, trying to solve a problem or raw data. It's helping you to ask the question that you don't know that you had. And to me, that feels like a real hole on the financial services side, right? We're not helping our users ask questions that they don't know they have, which kind of gets into that financial literacy education topic a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, before not, you've never really known exactly what the user bought to the SKU level, right? L2, L3 data. So what we're releasing next week is a piece of software on our dashboard for our financial institution customers. And just with a chatbot, they can query how many people bought, crazy example, chicken nuggets, right? How many people bought Coca-Cola? And then if they really wanted to go deeper, they could say, what's the health benefit of buying X versus Y? Not that they would particularly care that much, but it just gives you that capability to look inside the spend of the customers and see what the art of the possible is.
It is super cool, man. I tell you, you got my wheels spinning. I want to switch though, if it's okay. I'd love to hear just some general numbers. I'm sure that you're seeing things that you're focused on and probably tailoring the roadmap to a little bit. But as for spend or categories, or maybe that's interchange to the institution, what are some of the just key stats or numbers that kind of have your eyebrow?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one is the value that we're giving to our customers. Their return on investment is extremely positive. I would say the average spend that we're increasing per month per user is $250. So
Wow.
$3,000 per year. So if
Wow.
you're a debit program making 1%, that's $30 in increased revenue per user. If you're a credit program, roughly double, $60. So our customers love us. We've
Yeah.
had another big number that we love is zero churn. The only customers who have churned have gone out of business. So if you're not going out of business, you're likely not going to churn with not because it works so much for you and in your favor. So I would say those are the two biggest numbers that I think about. How are we giving value to our customers and are they sticking around and getting that value?
I love it. I was going to say, as a CEO, that's what you're looking at, right? I want to see that I've got happy and thriving customers who are making a bunch of money and not leaving.
Exactly.
Really good, man. That's awesome. I had wondered or suspected that that was probably the case. So we're going to call that a toss up, man. That one gets me out of jail for something bad I do in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you were doing really well there. Well, congrats
Thank
on that.
thank you.
Can we talk just flipping over a little bit? Are you guys doing anything on sort of the fintech, embedded finance, banking as a service, that side of the world with any of the fintech folks? And where my head's at is just watching a lot of those programs and things that are going on that are also either existing commercial customers of the bank or they're looking for a banking relationship. There's a big flow there right now, and just wondering if you got eyeballs on that, what you're thinking, if you're anywhere in that mix.
Yeah, great question. So we work with the top fintechs, right? Think about the number one down to the top seven, and even down to the top 100. If you think of an innovative fintech, we're working with them. But where our gap has previously been is the credit union and community banks. And it's not fair to those folks that they don't get an awesome service like not just because they don't have a bunch of developers to throw at the problem to implement us. So what we're doing, starting now and deep into 2026, is working with the digital banking providers. And we don't have publicity rights to say them, but if you know a digital provider, we're likely either A, working with them or B, talking with them about integrating. And the dream, which is going to be soon a reality, is community banks and credit unions can just snap their fingers and turn on not via their favorite digital banking provider. That way, A, they don't have to invest any time or resources or development, and B, they get more revenue and retention. And obviously, for those digital banking providers, they're going to have a happy customer who's paying more, who's using their card more. And of course, we'll split a little bit of the revenue with them as well.
I love it. So I know you can't say, but I'll take a guess for the audience. He's probably talking about Q2, Lumen, Candescent, Alchemy, Bano, etc. So if any of those names ring a bell at your institution, maybe probably on the roadmap.
You
Really
know
cool.
it.
I
Yeah.
love where you're going too. I think a lot of times on the banker side, as you know, we have all these conversations, especially scoping through projects, and I always bring up the point of one of my first principles, is it front end or is it back end? And sometimes it's both, and sometimes the best, let's just say, experiences require both, right? Especially depending on the technology that we're working with, right? Some of the folks out there that you might partner with are getting to a place where you can kind of have a one size fits all integration. But to your point, you might have, let's call those merchant relationships, let's call that a back end problem, and the digital banking provider being a front end problem, right? Being able to pull those two together, you can really get something that's powerful and best experience. And I think that's really, really important. That's where the good things shine, man. So hats off. Good call.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, on the front end side, we're using all of that native capabilities that your phone has so you could easily log into the merchant, whether it's Face ID, whether it's one-time passwords, whether it's the OTPs, right, that you get on your phone, whether it's your phone knowing your password to automatically log in. That way, more of your users are authenticating through not and then adding their card. And that way, you're getting more revenue and retention. So I really appreciate that.
That's great, man. Really great. Talk to me a little bit, if you would. I just know it's something everybody, after like some horrible security, IT risk, probably fraud is a big concern to everybody. Anything you're seeing there, here and there, anything you guys might touch or have any impact? It seems like you're right on the fringe of it, but any thoughts on fraud?
Yeah, great question. Of course, yeah, we think about it a lot. Our fractional chief information security officer was the CISO at Yodlee, Plaid's
Mm.
biggest competitor. He was the CISO there for 10 years. He was one of our first hires. So we take fraud and security very seriously. We're publicly live with American Express and PayPal and et cetera. So they have extremely rigorous programs, whether it's SOC 2, whether it's PCI. We have all of the bells and whistles to make sure your data is secure. And we don't retain any of it. These go through third-party PCI vendors that we utilize, like BGS or Evervault. So we're never touching that data ourselves. We can't even tell what you're sending over, if it's good or bad, just because we never have access to it. So we take security very, very seriously.
That's great. I wonder if, you know, doing something through your platform rather than walking around with a piece of plastic and swiping a card just inherently probably ends up safer. It's a guess, but I
Yeah.
would imagine if we compared you to a physical piece of plastic, it probably comes out better. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Really cool. So I want to just give you a minute, man, and I want to hear you're in such a different world than all the rest of us. Where is your head at right now, and what are kind of the things you're focused on, or I always tell everybody, what's the things that keep you up at night, either good or bad?
There's a couple. I would say the number one thing I'm thinking about is how can we bring our service to get your card top of wallet to the thousands of banks in America? Like, yes, we've done it for some of the larger ones and the largest fintechs. But I don't think it's right that the smaller folks, the community banks, the credit unions don't have access to this. So how can we get that large swath of folks to have access to increased revenue retention for them? That's number one in my mind. The second is when a user authenticates into their account, we can perform a lot of other actions that help them. By the end of this year, we'll have well over 1% of Americans have gone through not, which is small but growing. So maybe in 2 years, maybe it's 10%, right? In 3 years, maybe it's 30%. So the thought is, what can we do to better service our customers, and how can we kind of bring revenue and retention through these crazy ideas that we have that we talked about here a little bit today.
Man, I can't say how much I appreciate the sentiment, and I feel the exact same way. I've just seen all the good that, community institutions do in, it's access to credit at a local level. Think about, 60+% of the small business loans. If anybody's from the ranching and farm and ranch side of the world, like 72% of the ag loans. It's just incredible. And to your point, from a asset and a size perspective, not a large group from institutions, but from an impact, I mean, they're larger than life. So I really appreciate what you're saying in the sentiment. I know that everybody else does too. I want to give you a minute or two, man. Take final thoughts. What else is on your mind? What else should we talk about?
The last thing I would say is, I mean, I could not be more excited for my colleague to go to the roundup. You guys throw an amazing, amazing event. For any listeners out there who have not been, it is worth a trip to Fredericksburg. I went, I want to say 2 years ago. Everyone was so hospitable, right? I had my cowboy boots ready. Luckily, my
Mm.
fiance is from Texas, so I was ready to get down. But it was an amazing, amazing time. I know that's coming up shortly, probably by the time this airs. So if this is before it airs, you're listening, try to get a ticket, try to go. If it's after, pencil it in for next year. The FinTech Cowboys, they do it right.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We will look forward to seeing your guys there. I would say I'd take care of them, but I know I don't have to. You guys are way more popular than I am, so
Yeah.
we'll all have a ball.
Thank you, Tanner. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for taking the time, man. We'll see you next time.